We are 18th century in our approach, 17th century. We are not in the 21st century. When I hear people talking of bottom up, others are talking of this. I wanted to use a bad word because these are our leaders, but they cannot take this country anywhere. Those are the things I want to hear somebody saying. Value addition, value addition, value addition. Animals, sheep, goats, camel. I go down and cry. I cry for many, many minutes, even hours. I say, God, nani alituroga? Who is it?
John Munyes.
Munyes was my student, he's a good man. But for the job...
You failed as a teacher then?
No, I didn't teach him issues of mining.
Manyora is clearly taking blame away from...
But he's a good guy.
Is mining Kenya's next economic frontier? And besides, have we tapped into the potential of having the mining sector contribute substantially to our gross domestic product, that's the GDP, as a country? As always, my name is Richard Mwenja here on Business Glide, and I'm joined by Herman Manyora, talking matters mining sectors. Thank you so much for tuning in. Herman Manyora,
yes.
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
All right. All right, today we're talking matters mining sector, and the first question that I think is of importance is asking ourselves, because in the previous edition we were looking at public debt. Have we exploited the option of using our mining sector to get us out of public debt?
I don't think we have. There was talk of mapping the country in terms of knowing what we have where,
mineral
and
deposits,
in what quantities and so on and so forth. I don't know whether we have finished that process. Be that as it may, on top of my head, I would say we have not even scratched the surface.
All right.
But what is even sad is that where we have managed to identify mineral resources and gone into the exploitation of those resources, we have left it entirely to foreigners.
I see.
With Kenyans getting zero out of it. The only benefit we get is environmental degradation, pollutions, health risks our people get, poor compensation for the owners of the land. We've always handled the short end of the stick. In the few instances where we have had mineral exploitation, titanium, oil, and so on and so forth.
Granite and so forth.
And so forth. But then there are also others which are even sad, where people are looking for minerals using their hands.
Definitely.
And you've seen people die collapsing in those makeshift mine shafts.
Yeah. We shall get to there,
Gold, yeah.
All right, before we get there, let me ask you, there's a thin line between mining and environmental conservation.
Yes, yes.
Where do we chip in as our country, and how do we strike this delicate balance?
When it comes to the environment, I've said there's no compromise. Nature is very unforgiving. Therefore, it's not even a thing you want to discuss. If you must choose between mining and environment, that's a no-brainer. You just go for the environment and the mining can go to hell. But in the modern world, there are interventions.
Absolutely.
So that you can mine without harming the environment.
All right.
But when foreigners are doing it, as we have seen in the Niger Delta, in West Africa, the kind of amount of pollution, they are after oil. What happens in the area, they don't care. The ecosystem is completely destroyed.
We seem to
livelihoods are destroyed.
I see.
Yeah.
Talking about conservation, we seem to have a good example on board. Base Titanium in Kwale County has undertaken rehabilitation of mined land.
Yes.
And they already running trials on agriculture, and it's actually coming up well. Yes. Should all other mining investors in the country, either foreign or domestic ones, now undertake the same route?
That's what we must do, and much more.
Right.
We cannot, I'm saying, you cannot sacrifice life on the altar of money, which is what you'll be doing if you look at the mining without looking at the environment and the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The Mineral Rights Board provides regulation for the mining sector. Talking of artisanal miners, mining people that you're talking about, those in Kakamega County or in Kisii,
yes.
We've seen them really partake mining activities, yet not really well equipped in terms of both knowledge and infrastructure that they need. Do you feel now the Mineral Rights Board has really empowered them to some level, or it's much of a board that isn't really doing much?
It happens in my place. It happens in my place. Even in fact, in my home, there's gold. My own place. I've seen signs of gold. And
why haven't you declared it to the government?
I don't want to be rich. If I do that, I'll be rich. Now, I'm used to this poor life.
All right.
And I'm very serious about it. In my sub-county where I come from. There's that mining going on. Yeah, around Kaimosi area, because you know Kaimosi.
Yeah, true.
Very close to Kaimosi. So people are doing it crudely, using crude methods, and with all the attendant risks. We've seen in Migori, Kakamega,
It's
and
happening.
in the recent past, last 2 or so months, we've seen people dying and being buried inside there and stuff like that.
All right.
So there's a lot that we need to do.
The mining ministry came up.
But what is worse before you leave? What is worse is even as at that risk, and including some of them dying and others being injured and so on and forth, when they get the little gold they get, it is taken by Chinese at a song.
Absolutely. The mining ministry came up with the disaster response teams. But going by the recent case in Migori County, you've seen the collapse, those who the mining deposit collapse on them take so many days for them to be evacuated.
Yes.
Will you say that these disaster response units that were on board perhaps were not really well equipped, or they are not as competent enough?
We are poor. As a country, we are poor when it comes to assembling a team to do anything.
But there was recruitment.
We are poor, and I'm telling you, this has been my pet song, pet topic, that until and unless we get to a point where we realize other countries have developed because they learned long time ago to put the best man or the best woman for every available job. Whatever team we are putting together in this country, whether it be cabinet, whether it be employees at whatever level, whether it be a committee, a commission, is a reward syndrome. We reward people. We reward cronies, relatives, friends, girlfriends, and everything, boyfriends. We never put up any team in this country with the seriousness it requires. So I will not be surprised if that outfit doesn't deliver.
All right.
Because an outfit is as good as the people. And
Absolutely.
the people are as good as the process of putting the people on board. Look at this country, for example. Raila Odinga may form government, or William Ruto. Just look at the cabinet. It'll be the same suspect. Yet the country is in a position where it requires the best men and women you can get. Because this country requires big thinking to remove it from where it is. But you just wait. September is not far. Just look at the cabinet Raila will form or Ruto will form. The same people. Completely incapable of new ideas and new thinking. And you have all these young men with all this training and who know how the world is moving today. They will not be put anywhere.
Majority Kenyans are saying should whoever forms government come on board, Manyora should be in that cabinet
They will not
ministry.
put me there.
Why though?
I think they're afraid of my thinking.
All right.
I'm too radical for them.
All right. Let's
Yeah.
keep on with this conversation. Talking about the Mineral Rights Board, we've seen there are still issues about the disbursement and allocation of royalties between investors, the government, and also the local communities. There were committees that were brought on board, community development agreement committees that are really to oversee how these royalties trickle down to the very locals. We are still issues of stalemates between the three parties are still there. How do you address such?
When you talk of royal rights, you talk of rights, you talk of trickle down. I wish that of the trickle down route was addressing. How do you give your minerals to a person to get 20 trillion perhaps dollars in a span of like 5 years? Maybe they will get 20 trillion dollars, and they pay royalties of
1%
$20 million, and you are fighting over that. You are foolish people and you are stupid. In the world today, in the 21st century, you invite partners. You tell them, this is our Congo forest. These trees have been here for 300, 400, 500 years. We are inviting with you as a participant. You have what we don't have. These are our forests, these are our trees. We want to exploit them. You have the capital. Let us partner. We have discovered minerals here. You bring the experience and the capital, and we exploit as partners. Not somebody to pay you 2 million shillings, then they go ahead and get 2 billion shillings. How can that be happening in the 21st century?
Does your argument now explain why we have seen the stalemate between Talo Oil and Turkana
That
residents?
is foolish. They are even still fighting over royalties.
I see.
That should not be the case. The case should be we have oil here. It is projected to be so much, can be exploited for so long, market value, so on, so on, so on, the cost, this and this. Now, we bring the oil, is ours. You bring the money and the technology. How do we share?
All right.
That one I will sit down to listen to. But royalties, forget about. License fees, come on.
In
Our
2016,
grandchildren will never forgive us.
I see.
Yes.
The Mining Act came on board in 2016, and in there, we've seen concerns about the local procurement and local employment plans that should be undertaken by these, say, foreign investors, whether local or foreign. We have still cases, say, in Kwale, whereby those working those mines, casual laborers will be the locals. But expatriates and other in the middle league are foreigners. And then we have thousands of graduates who are mining experts from Nairobi University or Kenyatta University. They are still jobless in the streets.
It's the whole problem of technology transfer. Where when you build a road in a country like Kenya, you are supposed to transfer some amount of technology to the locals. So that progressively over years, what you are doing today, locals can do it. You can cascade that down to mining. They will not want you to know and to get the experience and the knowledge of mining. So that in, say, 20 years, you are able to do the same mining they are doing today. So for that reason, they'll keep you from the skill and knowledge level. You'll only be unskilled laborers.
All right.
Yeah.
Instead of us exporting these very raw materials to outside the world for value addition rather, shouldn't we as a country now bolster our value chain and make sure we exploit titanium in Kenya, but still make sure all the value addition takes place here in Kenya, and now we export it to the market as a finished good?
We are 18th century in our approach 17th century. We are not in the 21st century. When I hear people talking of bottom up, others are talking of this, I wanted to use a bad word because these are our leaders, but they cannot take this country anywhere. Those are the things I want to hear somebody saying. Value addition, value addition, value addition. When I see leaders celebrating the fact that Kenya has found a market in Saudi Arabia to export live animals, and I see them going in the belly of a ship, walking animals, sheep, goats, camel, I go down and cry. I cry for many, many minutes, even hours. I say, God, nani alituroga? It's the same with minerals. These minerals are used in very strategic components in very rare fields like mobile telephony and other things and very complicated things. They come from us here. We let them just go kama mchanga. When the things come back here, we are paying 1 million times more. That cannot be happening in the 21st century. And that's why I'm telling you, if somebody forms government, he must form government with the people with that kind of thinking. To say, to advise the president, we want this country to remember you. 200 years, you are the man who ended hii ujinga ya sisi ku export raw things. Raw coffee, then it comes back to us. Even simple things like coffee, surely. Tea, even simple things, which we can do at tea auction. What tea auction are we talking about?
Despicable.
Why don't we have coffee shops in China? Tea shops, where you go in a city, on a particular street, and you find a shop selling tea from Kenya. You go to another street, you find another shop, Kenyan tea. You buy to take to your house to brew your tea. Right. Coffee the same. So minerals are even a much, I don't know what to say, a much more serious thing. Why don't you even start with the small ones?
Talking about exhibitions, we seem to be trading on a low scale in terms of auctions, mineral auctions, and really branding what we have as a country in terms of mineral deposits. Is it too expensive for Kenya now to be doing the Dubai way? We have the Dubai Expo, now the Kenyan Expo showcasing our gold, our granite, our titanium, and so forth. Is it too expensive? It's
not too expensive. It's the will and the ability. And but basically the brain. Do you have that level of thinking? The people we make ministers are just go and take coffee, cocktail after cocktail, nyama choma, kuku, stupid things, and they don't think for the country.
All right.
If I'm the president, I'll only employ if you have the capacity to think. Anybody who can't think cannot be in my cabinet. No, you must have the capacity to think.
Talking about capacity to think, yes. On a scale of 1 to 10, how will you rank the cabinet secretary in charge of petroleum and mining in this country? For a long time, it has been John Munyes. Know him?
Who is it?
John Munyes.
Munyes was my student, he's a good man. But for the job...
You failed as a teacher then?
No, I didn't teach him issues of mining.
Manyora is clearly taking blame away from himself.
But he's a good guy. Sometimes I'll tell you, and I think I've even talked to people, some ministers. Sometimes you are held hostage. When you are a minister in this country, you soon discover the PS who has the power, not you.
I see.
The PS has direct contact with the head of state, with State House. So even if you make, you must be a tough one. A PS, a CS or a minister who delivers can only be a person who has the personality to no nonsense like Matiang'i,
All right.
Michuki. But any other minister, and I'm saying not saying anything about them, I'm just saying that the structure of government is such as the PS who has the power.
All right.
So to go beyond that, you must be a very tough man. It has to be a Manyora, for example. If I'm in charge of my minister, you're a PS, you are under me, you'll do what I'm saying.
Time will tell. The very last. We've seen developed governments being endowed with such minerals, say where you come from in Viga, we've seen granite, but it's still untapped. Should every governor undertake at least exploiting, and efficiently so, at least one mineral deposit in his or her county?
We are not used to big thinking. We are not used to big things. So even a simple thing like that, you are going to look for an investor to come to create jobs. Oh, Nyore na Luanda, where the governor comes from, the salary will be 3,000 or 4,000 or 6,000 per month. That's what you are looking for. You are not looking at the value you can get from the products itself. And you are still looking for an investor. Something that requires like 200 million. Why would you look for an investor for 200 million?
I see.
800 million. Well, you see the kind of thinking I'm talking about. It is absent. It's not there. Kenyans are lazy and they don't want to think. So even our governors, they can't think. And only few of them can see that is able to transform your county through exploitation of the resources you have.
All right. Well, an elder has spoken. That's why we wrap up our conversation talking about the potential of the mining sector to really transform the economy of Kenya and make sure that in the near future, it really contributes substantially to our gross domestic product. However, we've seen the challenges in there that needs to be addressed today, if not yesterday, and it's upon the CS for mining and petroleum to undertake these very drastic measures. Now, for our fun of the week, we go to Kapkoi Sisal village, a boy by the name of Sami Njau.
Sami Njau, thank you for being part of us. Tell your friends to join this family by subscribing, and we share and remain in the conversation for the country.
All right. Always remember, Business Glide is your go-to point for the wholesome coverage in matters economics and business here in Kenya, and the only voice in business talk of our online television. Until next time, God bless you. Up next is the Business Glide African Proverb of the Day.